How's it going? Welcome back. Now we're going to be chatting about this thing here, which is the EcoFlow Delta 3 Plus. It is a massive power bank, essentially. It's a battery inverter all in one. It is essentially taking what we have in there from our 12 volt and packing it all into one unit. Now, obviously it's got some limitations because it is small and it is a single unit. So we're going to run through what they are, what it can actually charge, all its different ports and capabilities in that regard, how heavy it is, things like that. So let's get into it. We're Joss and Megan, and after 2 years of living full-time on the road in a rooftop tent, we learnt a lot. Now we're here to share what worked, what didn't, and everything we wish we knew before we started. So essentially, this is a battery and inverter in one unit, and it's also very portable. Got handles, you can move it around, you can take it away from your car, which is a big plus. Obviously, the battery has to have a decent capability when it comes to running certain appliances, and this thing is probably one of the best on the market. We got this from Anaconda, and the reason we did is because we were able to move it away from the car when we weren't able to camp right next to our car. It's also got such a good inverter on it that it can run things like induction, small camp kettles, camp ovens, proper fridges for a significant amount of time, and we don't have to be next to our car. The other thing is it's got 4 AC power points here, and that just gives you so much more flexibility. We'll run through it. That's got 4 of the big ones. It's got 2 normal USBs and 2 USB-Cs. Now, you can run quite a bit at the same time. Obviously, you're not going to load up all 8 ports because that will chew through the battery, but you can most definitely run things simultaneously. If you've got a couple of them and you're charging phones, too easy. Now, I've got a cheat sheet here to run through some numbers because it does get a little bit hard to remember. So it's 1800 watts continuous, and then obviously a lot of these have the surge for when you plug something in at the start, and that goes up to 3600 watts. And then X Boost, which is a feature on these, goes up to 2400 watts. The battery inside, very safe apparently. They're the lithium batteries, and the life cycle is 4000 cycles. So apparently that's about 10,000 years of 10 years worth of use if you used it every single day. Now they come in at 12.5 kilos, which is not light, but it does have 2 handles and it's not too heavy. It does mean you can walk around and take it to another campsite or away from your car, down to the beach, that kind of stuff. Now, they're not cheap, but some people may not have any of this setup. Therefore, this is their main source of power. Beautiful for that kind of thing. We power it on, and 99%, which says 2.7 days, but again, obviously that's depending on what you're using. It's got input watts, output watts, and then these 2 buttons to the side are just your on-off buttons for these. So USB on-off, AC on-off. So if you've got things plugged in, they're not going to be running power the whole time. You've essentially got a button like a PowerPoint for all of these. Now, that's pretty much, it's nice and basic. It's pretty simple. On the back side, you've got another port. Obviously, there's a lot of accessories that still need the old cigarette charger. So they've thought of that, and you can plug that in there. So pumps to pump up SUPs, different phone chargers, 2-way chargers that you might be keeping in your car, perfect for in here. So if you don't want to run stuff off your car when you're at camp, plug it in here and it will drain very little. Now we've got a couple more ports down here which also this comes with a bunch of cords. So obviously to charge things, but also, to be honest, I'm not really sure what they are, but when you see the cord, it might be more specific for different accessories that you have. In this little compartment here, we have inputs for solar, inputs for AC, so when you're at home, you can charge it. And then this says extra battery port. So I believe you can hook them up to other batteries, to other systems like this, and kind of run things parallel. I would imagine that one of these is more than enough for most people. So this section here is to charge this up, and then everything else is outputs. The good thing about these is when you do have them at camp, like I said, you can plug your solar into it. So you can plug your solar blankets, you can probably plug it into the solar panels you've got on your roof, all that kind of thing, and it will keep these topped up. The way we plan on using it is essentially we don't have to drain the battery that runs our fridge. So if we want to use our induction cooker or something like that, we don't have to worry about pulling power from the battery that's in the canopy. We can kind of use this as our cooking power. What we'll do is when we're on a long drive, we'll hook this up to the car inside the canopy, because the car's running the alternator's charging the canopy battery, and the canopy battery can charge this because that will get to 100%. The way we do that is through one of these ports at the back. It's essentially using our inverter in here to charge this like we would at home. So whenever we get into camp, we know this is going to be at 100%. And then we can use it for a kettle, induction cooker, just to make life a little bit easier when we're at a campsite. Now, from some of the research I've done, this is roughly the equivalent to an 85 amp hour lithium battery that you have in your canopy. So we have a 100 amp hour lithium battery, and that manages to run everything like our fridge, our freezer on the other side, all our lights, no dramas. So this is nearly at that capacity. So it's pretty good when you're thinking about it like that. A couple more stats for you. Now, like I said, it's got 2 USBs, 2 USB-Cs, it's got 4 AC outlets. Charging method is AC, solar, and obviously you can hook it up to your car alternator. It's not very noisy. It does have a fan, so when it's at full output, so when you're running an induction or something, it will run the fan to try and be a bit more cooler, but it's not noisy. It's not a generator. It runs, it makes a little bit of a hum. Other than that, it's pretty good. You won't really notice it around camp. I guess some other things to note is that I think it's IP65, so it's very dust and water proof. Obviously these ports here, you're not going to want to get them wet, but otherwise, some sprinkle of rain or a splash from water isn't going to do any harm. It's really well made. This is like hardened plastic, so though it looks like metal, it's quite tough. Everything is nice and compact, and makes it really easy to pack in the back of your canopy or in your car. There's so much about lithium safety and lithium battery safety these days. This has full BMS safety, so that's just something, I guess, to put your mind at ease. EcoFlow are a good, reputable brand. The build quality and their batteries are up to standard. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're buying big power banks like this, to make sure, I guess, the brand is a good quality brand. They use the correct batteries and they're all up to standard. So that's pretty much it. A quick rundown on the EcoFlow Delta 3 Plus. Now there are a bunch of different versions. There's ones that are a lot smaller that are probably better for charging accessories like laptops, phones, and that kind of stuff. This is, I think, one of the bigger ones on that end. So when you're wanting to run induction cookers, kettles, ovens, large fridges, anything big, lighting, that kind of stuff, then this is the one you would go to. Then obviously once you're plugged in things in, the screen there informs you how long you've got to go, how long left in the battery life, things like that. And alternatively, when you're charging it, you can also check on here the percentage of the battery, how long to charge, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for something a little bit different than a really complicated 12-volt setup, then this might be for you. We like to have it both because sometimes when it comes to camping, we enjoy that bit of flexibility. The capacity when you're cooking on an induction cooker obviously depends on the amount of heat you're going to be using and how long you're going to be using it for. But we've comfortably used it for 3 meals in a row, using the induction cooker to heat up water, boil pasta, cook oats in the morning and things like that for 3 meals, and then we put it on charge again while we drive. Obviously, the bigger appliances you use or things that use a lot of power like a coffee machine or a NutriBullet, something with extremely high surge wattage, it's going to use a lot more power in a lot shorter span of time. So it's good to keep those things in mind. Something else to be aware of is to check the wattage on the bottom of your accessories. So an espresso coffee machine, NutriBullet, induction cooker, small camp kettle, they're all going to have a certain amount of wattage, which is what they draw during usage. And that gives you a good indication of whether this unit is going to be able to power something like that. If your setup is much more simple, then this might be a great addition, because when it comes to cooking, an induction cooker and one of these is the perfect combination. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay tuned and subscribe for other reviews on things like this that I'm going to do. We've got a bunch more accessories in here, so hit that subscribe button and leave a comment if you think one of these would be a good addition to your setup.